little bit about DraftKings, FanDuel, and more or less a general approach. I think that is an introductory video. We want to make sure that you guys here can be able to look at what we have to offer at YFC, to hit that bell for alerts and notifications, and along with the subscribing. We would greatly appreciate that, whether you're looking at it on the YouTube channel or on Twitch, or just check us out at yourfielderchoice.com. And yeah, that's what we're here for. So we're going to talk some Thursday night football, some single game structure, showdown format. And the reason I'm here is to kind of give you a little bit of a rundown of how I like to build lineups, what I look at from a game standpoint, game theory standpoint, and kind of give you just a general consensus of what I feel are going to be some good plays. Obviously, every game is going to be different. Every game script is going to be different. In this particular case, Dallas and New Orleans, it's kind of almost a near interstate rivalry. I mean, they're so close. During the time of Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans was obviously, had to shift around. That city was hit hard by that. And of course, like I said, we became a lot closer with our neighbors east here in Texas, for where I'm at, actually in Houston. So I do want to talk about this game because it's exciting. It's Thursday night football. We're getting towards the end of the season. And yeah, as a big interdivision rival of the Dallas Cowboys, I will do my best not to be too partial and to be too harsh about this game, and give you the best way to be able to build a lineup to be able to maximize your profits. So be sure to check us out, yourfielderschoice.com. Right now, we have some great introductory pricing. I believe for the football special, it's kind of a sports bonanza fall special where you can get your first 2 months half off at $25 a month. You get access to our premium Discord channel. You also get access to all of our coaches, being able to message myself, yours truly, or one of our other coaches as well. So thank you for joining us, and let's jump right in. Okay, guys? So sharing my screen here, I want to talk a little bit about the DraftKings Showdown format. This is a captain mode format. In other words, you will select a captain player where they will yield 1.5 times the amount of fantasy points to your lineup, also paying the penalty of paying 1.5 times the salary. So obviously getting the best price per dollar play is going to be essential here. A high ceiling play is going to be great. A high floor play can be great. So if you're playing cash games, double ups, single entry contests, head to heads, obviously you're going to want to get a better lineup in regards to having a good floor, right? You want to get some good DFS players that you know are going to contribute. But if you're playing multiple entries in big GPPs, 20, 150 entry contests, obviously we want to be different. So I want to talk about kind of as we go along the differences in that. And as you can see on the screen, we will bring up some FanDuel pricing as well. Obviously, I want to talk about this from their standpoint of the MVP format, where you do get 1.5 times the amount of points for your MVP without paying the penalty in regards to salary. So you want to get the highest scoring player from that game. All right, here we go. Digging in. Dallas, New Orleans. So yes, we're on the road. We're in a dome. New Orleans plays extremely well on the road. Right now we have about a 47.5 point over under in regards to implied points. Dallas is about a 4-point favorite here. So a relatively tight game. With that being said, obviously New Orleans has been without Alvin Kamara for a good bulk majority of the season. They've been shuffling quarterbacks after Jameis Winston got hurt. Drew Brees decided to, ride off into the sunset. So we have some Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill. Let's kind of look at what we have here. It seems that with the news that Siemian was working with the number 2s in Monday's practice, and if we're clicking over to Taysom Hill here, it looks like he is slated to be the starting quarterback. So anything that you know about Taysom Hill in regards to just quarterback in general, this guy's a runner. Right? He is a dual threat quarterback, not really known for his arm, but that's great in regards to a floor play because this guy's going to be rushing the ball, is going to have a lot of equity in regards to goal line work and things like that. So we definitely want to consider him in regards to all of our lineups. Talking about it just from the New Orleans, because we want to keep it with the home team standpoint. We're looking at running backs here, obviously, Alvin Kamara. Let's look at the most recent news on him. And I want to look at this from the standpoint of just looking at the site as opposed to digging into Twitter. We have a lot of this stuff available in our Discord, but I want to make sure you guys know how to kind of filter news as well through the site. Questionable for the game. Coming back from an MCL sprain, obviously missed the past 3 games. Mark Ingram, he's slated obviously to be in there. He had some issues. He was a full participant in practice. So we got some things up in the air as we're recording this about 24 hours plus early. We really need to pay attention to this because Alvin Kamara is going to be one of those running backs that's going to be excellent in regards to floor, especially for DraftKings because they're at full point per reception site. And that's somebody that we want to focus in on, is somebody who gets a lot of targets out of the backfield. But that being said, obviously you can look at Mark Ingram, only 7,500 on DraftKings. He's somebody that we can definitely consider. He's $12,000 on FanDuel, which is a little bit more geared towards those running backs where they're not going to catch a ton of passes. They're going to get a lot of rushing yards, obviously rushing touchdowns as well. FanDuel's a little bit more geared towards that in regards to the scoring standpoint. So here's how I'm going to build my lineup. Now, obviously, I want to pick a good captain, right? That's going to be important for me. I want to pick somebody who I know is going to contribute in most parts of the game. Obviously, I will give you a cash captain, and then I'll also give you someone who I feel is better as a GPP or tournament captain as well. That can be a high risk, high reward play. So if I'm looking at it from this standpoint, I know Dallas is favored by 4 points, right? We know New Orleans. Running backs kind of shuffling up in the air. Taysom Hill at quarterback. Hey, that's somebody we can look at here. But I really feel like the Dallas offense is going to be one that's going to always be moving the chains, right? They're going to be moving. They're going to be moving the rock. They're going to be scoring points. They've shown that all year long. If you're looking at both these defenses, if you dig in deep, the running backs are not doing a ton of damage in regards to these defenses. New Orleans has an absolute lockdown rush defense. Dallas has actually done really well. They've been in a lot of shootouts, so the numbers can be skewed a little bit, but they played well in stopping the running backs. So I really want to focus in on the pass game here. Taysom Hill is obviously dual threat, so he's a player that we love. Shout out to our college football guys that these dual threat quarterbacks can absolutely produce well in a single game standpoint with their upside. But I'm going to look at Dallas. I'm going to look at their offense here, and I'm going to say, okay, do I get exposure to Ezekiel Elliott? In a captain standpoint, probably not. Why? Because Tony Pollard, man, the dude's a stud. On Thanksgiving, he showed out, had a huge run back on the special teams play. I think this guy is actually probably the running back of the future, if not the now. I think Ezekiel Elliott is steadily getting phased out. There's more of a workload share for you Ezekiel Elliott believers out there. Hey, more props to you, but I'm just going by the eye test. The snap counts are down for him. Tony Pollard's getting a lot more work, so let's not be naive and just look at the name. Ezekiel Elliott absolutely can pay off here, but we want to look at some of these other plays, and I want to start with Dak Preston. I understand he's the absolute highest player in regards to salary on the slate, but let's talk about what he did against the Raiders. That close game, losing 36-33, but 28.3 DraftKings points. He threw for 47 attempts, completed 68% of his passes, threw for a couple touchdowns, no interceptions, one little small scamper in regards to a rush, nothing really to write home about here, but the guy was uber efficient. He's definitely here against this New Orleans defense who can be tough, but they can be beaten through the air. So this is a player that I want to look at, and I just want to kind of put him there right now for the captain's standpoint. You're getting $50,000 salary-wise for your DraftKings lineups. You're getting $60,000 for FanDuel, but I do think that Dak Prescott here is kind of the guy who's kind of safe here. We know he's going to produce. I'm not really liking the run game. If I wasn't looking at Dak in regards to cash games or single entry, I would definitely be looking at one of his pass catchers. But that's tough because CeeDee Lamb here, looking at him, I mean, the guy was only targeted 4 times here against the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously dealing with injuries, didn't play against the Raiders here, but it looks like he was a full participant in practice, going through concussion protocol. Obviously, he feels a lot better if he gets the clearance here. I mean, we could definitely consider him as well. Dak is 17.7 in the captain spot. CeeDee Lamb is 15K. You can do a lot with 2,700 in Showdown, but I want to stick with Dak for right now, just in regards to lineup building. And I do want to pair him with the pass catcher, okay? CeeDee Lamb, excellent in regards to pricing. He's a little high. Anything over 10,000 on DraftKings is an elite player. You need to make sure you're getting elite return on value. You have to look at what is the possibility that Dallas is going to still run a lot of plays here, even against an aggressive New Orleans defense, but they're in a dome. Man, it's a higher pace, no weather having to deal with these guys in Dallas. I mean, these Cowboys are going to be able to run a lot of plays, hopefully try to wear this New Orleans defense out. So there's going to be a lot of Tony Pollard, a little bit of Ezekiel Elliott. They're going to split carries. They're going to split targets. You're going to get some CeeDee Lamb, absolutely. But I mean, is Amari Cooper going to play? That's something we have to consider. He's listed as questionable right now with his illness, looking at it. But, I mean, he's in a position to keep his absence to 2 games. So that's good. I mean, obviously, that's reporting that we can get. It's going to be mixed and matched, obviously, on who your sources are. If Amari Cooper comes back, that takes a little bit of luster off of CeeDee Lamb. Amari Cooper's absolutely going to get looks his way. But I do want to mention that Michael Gallup is steadily rising in price. He's at 6,800 right now. He was a great buy, obviously, for Thanksgiving. He was kind of a no-brainer play. 8 targets, 5 receptions, 106 yards, no touchdowns. Still returned nearly 20 points in regards to DraftKings. So Gallup's somebody we want to consider here. But I'm going to say it. This guy right here, Dalton Schultz, he's a guy that Dak loves to throw to. He's not a huge touchdown machine. 7,600. It's a little bit of money here to spend, but I do love the fact that he's gotten 7 targets and 8 targets his last 2 games. Obviously, that goes off of a little bit of CeeDee Lamb being hurt, but Schultz is somebody I absolutely want to consider here. But I mean, you have to look at these things. Cedric Wilson being out, I mean, that's going to be tough. Him being ruled out of the game means that you're going to get a smaller route tree. That's going to be a CeeDee Lamb. It's going to be a Amari Cooper. It's going to be Michael Gallup. But after that, if you're not going to Schultz, you might need to consider one of these guys down low for Dallas. I mean, they got some really good players. I do know that Noah Brown has been kind of the hot commodity, right? He got 9 targets against the Raiders. 9 targets, only 6 catches, 53 yards, no touchdowns, but 9 targets. He's only $600. Like, this is somebody we can absolutely play here in regards to the Dallas passing game side. And guess what? Now we have nearly $8,000 in regards to what we can play from here on out. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to play one of these Dallas pass catchers here, because absolutely, I think they're very viable. The running backs are going to have a tough time here. So I'm going to kind of look at this Dalton Schultz, Michael Gallup range and kind of see who I want to play there. But I'm not going to fill out the whole lineup. I want to follow terms of service and everything like that. So I do want to talk a little bit about the New Orleans side of things before we move on and what I think the game script is going to be. But in the New Orleans side, before we move over to FanDuel, I do want to say that we talked about Taysom Hill, 9.6K. I don't know what's going to happen to Alvin Kamara. I don't know if he's going to play. I don't know if it's going to be the Mark Ingram show, but I do know who's going to play quarterback. Taysom Hill at 9.6K has to be a lock in your lineups in regards to cash. Why? Because I don't know where the running backs are going to be in regards to snaps, target count, who's going to get goal line touches. Taysom Hill has shown in the past that when he's given the opportunity, he can absolutely pay off a price tag. That's pretty cheap, 9.6K for a starting quarterback. That is not just a strictly backup quarterback. Absolutely, you can look at the other quarterback, Trevor Siemian here, but I will be honest with you. He was pretty awful against Buffalo, only 9.82 points, 17 to 29, 58%, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I mean, it is what it is, like, being inefficient. He had some good games before that, but if he's working with the number 2s here, that makes me think that, hey, look, if Taysom Hill's back, the New Orleans Saints are ready to hand the reins over to Taysom. So I want to look at him here. I definitely think that that's someone that we need to look at playing here. You can absolutely still play Alvin Kamara. If I slotted in Alvin Kamara, I would have 2 positions left at 5,400. That's absolutely in play here. I could even say no Alvin Kamara, and I'm going to slide down. And I'm going to put Mark Ingram in. Okay, cool. 8,550. That's a lot of salary left in what we can and can't play. But neither of these are absolutely necessary. I do want to kind of mention the fact that without a Michael Thomas, right, you have this New Orleans route tree or target tree that's just expanded all over the place. So I don't know where all of this volume is going to go, but what I do know is this is going to be a tough game. 47.5 is not going to be something that's going to be it's not going to be a spread that I'm really too worried about. But I do want to say that it's not going to be a shootout. It's not going to be too low scoring of a game, but it could be a game that's going to turn to where the defenses are going to have more opportunity. These kickers are absolutely in play here. You have Greg the Leg Zuerlein for the Dallas Cowboys. We know that he can kick those long field goals. Dallas is going to score 4,200. He's absolutely in play here. You can look at the kicker for New Orleans with Will Lutz on IR. I believe Brent Mayer looks like he's going to be slotted into play. He didn't attempt any field goals. Obviously, they got blown out 31-6. I think that he's going to have opportunity. I think that Dallas is going to have a decent defense in regards to the red zone. But these are both players that we can absolutely consider in cash. But if I'm looking at more favorable plays, I want to talk about Treyclone Smith here. So 5 targets, 4 catches, 7.1 yards this last game out against Buffalo. Now, that being said, we're in a much better opportunity for the New Orleans players to be able to capitalize on this, because obviously you have Diggs out there in regards to the Dallas secondary players. He's been a really good cornerback. He's leading the league in interceptions, I believe, still. He's always a threat to take it back to the house for a pick 6. So I think that Taysom Hill is going to have to really work on these underneath routes. But guess what? Unfortunately, he doesn't have his number 1 tight end. If we're going to scroll down here, I noticed that Nick Vannett's got a price bump at $3,600 with Troutman getting hurt against Philadelphia. I think that Nick Vannett here, Juwan Johnson. Let's look at Vannett first, because I do want to mention $3,600, 1 target against Buffalo, 1 catch for 11 yards. So we have to assume he's going to be somebody that they can absolutely target. They don't need to. Juwan Johnson's obviously someone as well. 0 targets against Buffalo. Why am I mentioning these guys? Because this is Taysom Hill, not Trevor Siemian. Taysom Hill is going to need a little bit more of an outlet in regards to who he's going to throw to. He's not going to have as many pass attempts, which is one reason why we want to corner the market in playing Taysom Hill here. So you have to really look at these tight ends here. Are they going to show up? Guess what? They're going to be low owned because they don't have any kind of points to be able to write home about in regards to the recent games. But you can look at a Marquez Callaway here. Let's see what he did against Buffalo. 4 targets, only 2 catches. Okay, but he's had some previous success in other games. Not really been super efficient, had some touchdowns, which has kind of bolstered his fantasy score here. So he's somebody we can absolutely consider here. But here's what I think that the best way to approach this is. I think that Dallas is probably going to win this game. Now, that's not being something I'm happy about, being an Eagles fan, but I think Dallas is going to win here. So I want to get some kind of leverage one way or the other. On one team, 4 players, and on one team, 2 players. Very rarely will you see a 3-3 split, and I'm going to feel good about it. I think that I'm going to lean more towards these Dallas players where we know they're going to have some production in regards to fantasy score. If I wanted to play a Dak Prescott captain line with a Noah Brown and Taysom Hill, let's just say, hey, I don't know who's going to catch passes for him. I didn't want to pick a pass catcher. I'm going to pick Ezekiel Elliott. Okay, cool. Guess what? Still got $5,650 left in regards to what I'm doing for salary. I can play a Tony Pollard. $7,150 left over for salary. Remember, I'm not focused so much about the player. I'm worried about this amount of salary getting me this return on fantasy points. So that's how I'm going to approach this. You want to pick a game script in Showdown. That's the most important thing you can do. You can say, okay, you know what? I think Dallas is going to run away with this game. They're going to stomp New Orleans by 2 touchdowns. Well, guess what? You need to build your fantasy lineup and your Showdown lineup in accordance to that. So you need to have a Dallas player at captain. You need to maybe focus on their run game, because if they're going to beat someone by 2 touchdowns after their pass game and after they've gotten up on these New Orleans Saints by 2 touchdowns, they're going to need to slow it down. Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, Dallas defense. I mean, that defense could absolutely take one to the house, and so can New Orleans. I wouldn't be opposed to a Taysom Hill and New Orleans Saints team in regards to getting 2 players for exposure, because, I mean, let's look at the Saints defense for a second. Averaging 7.8 points on DraftKings. They have not had a negative return all year long. Now, I will say, not having that negative return all year long is that, a couple of sacks here and there, that's not really going to get it done. We would love to have some interceptions and some defensive touchdowns. They have 2 on the year, so that's someone we can absolutely consider. Or I can say, hey, I'm going to play Taysom Hill here, and guess what? I think Alvin Kamara is going to play. I'm going to play him because he's going to get targets. He's going to get rushing opportunities. So, we play him there, $5,450 left in regards to lineup. So when you're constructing your lineups, your captain is going to be important because it's going to determine how you play the rest of your lineup. But your flex players, I think that you need to pick a game script and you need to kind of go from that, okay? Let's peek over at FanDuel before we kind of round this out here, guys. The MVP, you don't get penalized on FanDuel for playing an MVP. And I think that Dak is going to be the highest scorer. So I'm going to put him there in regards to cash games. If I want to talk about GPP, which I'll swing back to DraftKings in a second, I'll tell you who my favorite player is. But I think that Dak Prescott here is going to be somebody who I'm going to have to consider at the top. He's just a guy that I feel like he's going to produce no matter what. You can absolutely play someone else. You can play Ezekiel Elliott. You can play Alvin Kamara. You can play, excuse me, a Taysom Hill here. That is something I did want to mention. Oh my gosh, sorry. I apologize. I'm like zooming out here and I'm going crazy. Okay. Taysom Hill is only $7K on FanDuel. He's an absolute lock at that price. He is cheaper, still priced as a backup quarterback. You have to play him, okay? If I tell you 100% ownership on anybody, it would be Taysom Hill on FanDuel. You just have to, based off of the news that we have right now. So you can absolutely look at a couple different plays here, but if you play both those guys and lock them in, you're at 36.5K remaining for 3 slots. That is an average of 12,167 points. So guess what? I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I love that. I love that here. I'm going to go ahead and play a Ezekiel Elliott. Oh, well, let me see what I got left. 11,250. You have some room to do some work here. You can look at a kicker. You can look at Dalton Schultz at the tight end, Treyclone Smith. You can absolutely get a Tony Pollard or Ezekiel Elliott. I do want to mention that Tony Pollard is only $2,000 cheaper than Ezekiel Elliott here in regards to price tag. But what I want to look at is Tony Pollard this last game, 10 attempts, 4 targets, caught all 4, so 4 receptions. Obviously, no touchdowns rushing, no touchdowns receiving, but he did have a special teams touchdown, which is really nice to have. But yeah, man, you have to consider doing things a little bit differently. So in regards to FanDuel, yes, it's very straightforward how you're going to spend your salary if you're playing bigger contests in regards to getting lower ownership exposure. You're going to want to either go way down or you're going to go way up. I mean, are people really going to play Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott, Taysom Hill, and Dak Prescott? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But that would be 0 pass catchers. If it turns into that kind of a defensive game, one thing I can tell you on FanDuel you don't have to worry about is defenses. So guess what? If it's a low-scoring game, defenses are not something you have to worry about. So definitely want to consider that. From a GPP standpoint on FanDuel, before I round out, gosh, I'm so terrible at zooming in and out. I'm so sorry, guys. I do want to say that, man, I just have this feeling about a Treyclone Smith. I don't know. He's not my favorite DraftKings player here in regards to a GPP, but shoot, Taysom Hill is $7K. You don't get penalized for putting him at captain. He could absolutely light up Dallas here and be the highest scoring player on the slate. That's who you want in the MVP spot for FanDuel, is who's going to be the highest scoring player on the slate. So definitely someone we want to consider. Noah Brown, we kind of talked about him earlier. So that kind of leads me into the final part of talking about our lineup building in regards to GPP. What do you do here? In my opinion, if you want to take down a tournament, you will always play a skill position player at the captain spot on DraftKings, unless you feel that a defense is just going to come in and they're going to dominate, they're going to score a touchdown, whatever it is. That is somebody to be there. Don't limit your upside or your salary relief by playing too expensive of a player, i.e. a quarterback, because that very rarely pays off. It does pay off, but it very rarely pays off. Or playing a kicker there. That is not the optimal move for GPP. So if I'm looking at it, just me looking at it here, just me kind of spitballing, and I'm like, hey, I really like this Noah Brown kid. That is not the captain's move like I wanted to. Sorry, 900 on DraftKings for the captain spot. We don't have any Cedric Wilson. Dallas is going to want to throw it here. CeeDee Lamb should play. Amari Cooper probably is going to play. We know Michael Gallup should be good there, but what does it take for Noah Brown to really pay off in regards to a captain standpoint here? Or you don't have to play Noah Brown. Let's just slide up and let's play the probably least owned pass catcher. I don't know why, but he will be. Is going to be either Dalton Schultz or it's going to be Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's coming off an injury. If he plays, he is probably one of the best plays you could do at the captain spot. If I went Dalton Schultz, now remember, game script wise. So if Dallas is going to pass, who's going to throw in the touchdowns? Dak Prescott. You got to play them together. One way you can avoid Dak Prescott and get a fade on him is say, hey, you know what? I really believe this is what I did in Thanksgiving. I was so proud of myself. I played Tony Pollard at captain. Okay, cool. Do I have to play Dak Prescott? No, I don't have to. I can play Taysom here, right? Because I feel like he's going to keep it relatively close on the other side. Let's play Dalton Schultz here. Let's play Michael Gallup. Let's get some skill position players. I'm going to fade Dak Prescott, right? Okay, cool. I'm looking. Like, man, I got a lot of salary left over. What if I want to play Alvin Kamara? But you know what? Let me correlate a little bit. I have the Dallas running back on here. What if Dallas just dominates? What if their defense dominates? Let's play them here. Okay, cool. Then I have 9,900 left over, and you can kind of do with it as you will. You don't have to play Michael Gallup there. You can play someone else. You can definitely look in and just play the Cowboys defense here. 16.7 left, 8.350, 8,350 left in regards to salary. So there's a lot you can do there. You can still play CD Lamb. You can play Ezekiel Elliott, which is kind of weird, but you can play both those running backs together. In my opinion, before we cut out here, Dallas has never been good at correlating Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott together. You can absolutely play them together. It's just not something that I would prefer. So when you're building this, remember, guys, if this is your first time playing Showdown, awesome. Welcome in. The DFS waters are fun. They're exciting, but they can be challenging. So don't get frustrated. Look at those contests for single entry, which is a one entry per player limit, or the 3 max is what you're going to be looking for, or double ups, or you can do head-to-heads, ask questions in our premium chat. If you join, you get that price discount for the first 2 months. So guys, I think that there's a lot to unpack here, things that we can look at in regards to lineup building, but most importantly, we have to really get this news as it's coming in. Don't forget to check out the articles at yourfielderschoice.com in regards to the Thursday night slate. That's all I have. I hope I kept it short enough for you guys. I don't know if I did, but I hope it was short enough, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed listening. Thank you to Mickey, my producer here, and of course, as always, be sure to hit the notification bell, like and subscribe. Guys, we appreciate you. Good luck, and let's make some money on Thursday Night Football. Have a good one.